Cemetery is a beautiful 75-acre parcel of Erie history. The cemetery was allocated in 1851 by locals who wanted an area suitable as the final resting place for any Erie citizen. The cemetery has expanded over the years and has become the beautiful scenery that you see today. Many notable figures are buried here, both black and white, that encompass Erie's rich African American history, and I am going to highlight a few. It is fitting to start with William Himrod, a champion of civil rights and one of the incorporators of this cemetery. Himrod used his wealth generated by being a pioneering role in Erie's iron industry to establish a community on Erie's bayfront called New Jerusalem, where free blacks and poor whites could purchase affordable lots to pave their way to a better life. He also established an African-American Bible school and housed fugitive slaves. New Jerusalem cultivated the abolitionist movement in Erie, which brings us to our next civil rights activist. Henry Catlin was an Erie abolitionist and newspaper publisher who supported the Underground Railroad in northwest Pennsylvania through the publication called True American. In 1858, Catlin invited the famous Frederick Douglass to speak at Park Hall. Despite an angry mob threatening the both of them, Catlin delivered his speech anyways, entitled The Unity of the Human Race. Erie seems to cultivate musical talent, a fact best illustrated in the life of Harry T. Burleigh, an extraordinary composer and soloist known throughout the world in the U.S. and Europe. He arranged and composed over 200 African-American spirituals, music he learned from his grandfather, Hamilton Waters, a former slave. In 1892, he left Erie to attend the National Conservatory of Music in New York City, where he composed these spirituals and worked alongside while also inspiring one of the most famous composers of the time, Antonin Dvorak. Another musical virtuoso and a friend of Burleigh's, Earl Lawrence, taught a music studio on State Street and taught countless musicians of Erie. He played multiple instruments in the Erie Philharmonic and the Erie Conservatory, and taught many of Erie's future notable musicians. Finally, on this short tour, we have Jessie Pope, who, alongside her husband, owned and operated the Pope Hotel, a musical hotspot in Erie for decades. Many famous entertainers performed at the Pope, and it was one of the few establishments that allowed both black and white patrons to come. Upon the death of her husband, Jessie operated the hotel by herself, a feat rarely achieved by black women of the time. Jessie was also a staunch suffragette and the first president of the Erie NAACP, truly a powerful woman. If you've never walked around Erie Cemetery, I highly recommend it. The 75 acres contain both beautiful scenery and some of Erie's historic figures.